Hey everyone, Madcarver here with Schaaf Tools. Today we're going to carve a cube. It's going to be on an angle so that you can see three sides, and we'll cut it into the block and cut around the cube and make it very clear. Alright, let's get started. Okay, so with all of the work that I create, I always start with a pattern or some type of artwork on paper. And then I take that paper or that pattern and I place it atop my block. And then I use a metal stylus with a ball point on the tip, and I trace over all the lines. With just a little bit of pressure. And what that does is it leaves an indentation in the wood, and then I go back after the fact and I pencil it in as I have done here. Once that's created, then I can get to work with the carving part. Okay, to start, I use a Skew Chisel, and this is a 1S 8mm from the 12-piece set. And what I normally do is I outline with the chisel. What I try to do is stay just to the outside of each line. Not right on the line, but just to the outside. And if you're on an inner line, it doesn't really matter. You can go on the line or not. But in this case, we're not going to be cutting any inner lines, just the outside of your cube. So starting, I use the bottom of the Skew Chisel and I just guide it to the outside of the line. And if you're off, it's not a completely straight line, it's not that important because we're going to be cutting all of that away. You don't need to press too hard. We just want to create a small stop cut on the outside. Okay, now that we have that stop cut all the way around, what we want to do is dig out using a gouge parts of the material here so we can get some depth so that we are able to work on the cube. All right, let's do that next. All right, so using a gouge of moderate size, in this case 8mm, being a number 5, we're going to dig out all of the outside areas, creating depth so that we can work on the cube itself. So we'll start here. And we will continue to use the skew in conjunction with the gouge to cut deeper lines around the cube and continue to cut it out. Now that we have a good deep size trough cut around the outside of the cube, we can now start to form the cube. Now, one of the things that's going to happen is when we start cutting off the sides to angle them, the top is going to disappear, or rather, the artwork for the top will start to disappear, and we're going to need to redraw that. So, as long as you have your pattern, you're going to be fine. Let's begin. So now we have a depth here is slightly lower than it is here. So we want to even that out. And there we go. That's about right. You'll note here that this side does not go as deep as this side. I need more angle on this one and more depth than I do this one. Additionally, I'm going to now take this point here and connect it to this corner over here, as I did over here. All right, and that's our artwork back on. So now that we have an angle here and we have an angle here, we need to put the top on. So we'll put that angle on now. Now it's really just a matter of cleanup. If you'd like to have your cube raised, you can remove all of the outside here to the same depth that we cut in there, and it will stick out. You can also round it, meaning that you only take off parts of this area here in a rounded manner, and then the above section to stick out, and it will keep kind of a bottom. It's really up to you at this point to clean up. One last thing though, when you are completely done for the most part with sanding it or carving it any further to get it as straight as you can get it, what you'll want to do is cut off a little bit into the cube on its sides. And what that does for you is it gives it a little bit of shadow on the side of the block. We all know that a cube isn't going to be straight back like this side. It's going to be shaped like a cube, which means that that side goes in that direction, and this side goes in that direction. So we really don't want these sides to be visible when the onlooker is looking at it straight. So a slight angle here on the sides will prevent anyone from seeing that edge. Same as here, slight angle cut. And clean up for the most part. You can use a gouge to clean it, or the skew. You could even use sandpaper. You can also cut a small diagonal on the bottom of the cube as well. And then straighten your lines, just small cuts here. Very light to straighten them. I've turned the chisel upside down so that I can get a good cutting edge in this trough. This is how you create a cube in relief. Don't be too worried about cutting away your lines initially. You can get them back. As long as you have this line down here, you have a corner, and you have another corner, you can put it right back on after you've cut it off. Small brush, and it's really up to you how you want to finish it. A cube.